Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. HelloFresh is a meal kit delivery service that delivers pre-portioned ingredients and delicious recipes every week right to your doorsteps, saving you time from shopping and cutting down food waste. In this day and age, we often compromise what we eat in pursuit of work or just laziness. It's pouring outside and you don't want to make an extra stop for groceries, or you just don't feel like leaving your home on your days off. HelloFresh has got you covered. You can choose from one of their many recipes and have your groceries delivered weekly. They are well balanced with nutrition, and recipes comes with different dietary options as well. You get the recipes printed out and delivered along with the ingredients, and it's really easy. It really is as easy as it sounds. I mean, I did it, so you guys could do it, no problem. If you are interested, you can sign up right now using my link down in the description as well as the pinned comments to get up to 50% off and free shipping for your orders. Again, thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and so this video, unlike my last video, if you haven't seen my last video, maybe you should check it out before you watch this one, or you're just here to consume some very basic average Genshin content, or have something in the background that relates to Genshin to fill whatever you're trying to do right now. All good, right? But for the context, this video is made because of a comment from my last video, and basically in my last video, I was telling people, if you want to go for C2 Raiden Shogun, you should do it, and people who say, well, the game is too easy to go for C2 Raiden are stupid. That's basically what I said. If you want to summarize, and I told people, don't settle for the bare minimum. I consider most C0 characters the bare minimum when it comes to experiencing what these characters have to offer. That's what I meant, and you should scale things up. And if you want to, you like these characters, I don't see any issues in investing in constellations, even for free-to-play players. And a lot of people agreed with me, some people disagreed with me, which is completely fine. And that's when I came into the comment, which suggested that I should do another video with the other point of view and why you don't need constellations, because this person believes that both sides are valid, because if you never drive the Ferrari, you will never feel the lack of constellations. But if you have a Ferrari, your other cars will always feel slower, so you will feel like you need constellations. Now, where this example came from was because in my last video I said, imagine if C0 constellation characters are like the bare minimum for these characters, right? It's just having them. So I compared C0 to owning a very basic and standard car, a Honda Civic, a Prius. That's like, right, a pretty average standard car to get you started driving, commuting, whatever. But you can also own the Mercedes, you can also own Teslas, you can also own Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all these luxurious vehicles. And that's what I compared to like constellations as. Like, you don't need them, but if you had the option to, it would be nice to experience that, right? In the case of the vehicles, if you drive on a road with 100 kilometers per hour speed limit, you're not going to be able to drive to the maximum ability of your Lamborghini, but you know, it still feels nice to have one. That's where this comment essentially comes from. Okay, so in this video, instead of giving you guys reasons to pull for constellations and invest vertically into characters, I'm going to take the other route and talk about why you shouldn't for some people. Now, I don't want to say concretely that you shouldn't or should. That's up to you, but I'm just providing you a different point of view for people who need to hear this. All right, so here it is. For the vast majority of free-to-play players, you likely aren't going to be fully efficient in collecting gems. You're not going to be fully invested into this game because it's incredibly difficult to fully devote yourself to Genshin Impact. And one of the main reasons for that is because the game just doesn't have enough content. I know, we say this a lot, but it's very difficult to justify dumping hours and hours of your time every day into something that you see very little future in terms of end game satisfaction. If there's no end goal, it's very difficult to sludge yourself through the difficult parts of the game to justify the time that is spent. So what ends up happening is that people don't ever really see the point in going past a certain power level. And when it comes to Genshin Impact, then it starts becoming about experiencing different ways to enjoy the game. And the main products that Genshin has to offer are the characters. So for people who are more free to play and takes a game a little more like semi-casually, I mean, you look up guides, you build characters optimally, you don't really mess around, right? So you're not casual, but you're not hardcore either. You're not like using 4 stars to kill the abyss. You still want to clear their abyss, but you want to do it somewhat efficiently. So you are at a dilemma. Do you then hyper invest into characters and just play the game just to beat the game, just to collect the rewards so you can get more characters and constellations? Or do you just find interesting characters that you feel connected to and experience the game in different ways, try to clear the abyss with this team or that team or another team, whatever? And herein lies the point where a lot of people's paths diverge. On one side, like I said in the last video, building characters vertically could be fun for people who want to feel overpowered and they want to feel like they loom over the content as a godlike entity. But on the other hand, some people prefer that uphill battle. They constantly want to feel challenged. They constantly want to feel like that their skills are what's helping them prevail over the challenge being presented. So having a lot of C0 characters would offer you that opportunity because you are essentially held back. Your characters are not at their full potential, right? Like C6 obviously are completely busted, broken, over the top. And C0 in what most cases are strong characters, but maybe just sitting a bit above the line of being enough. And I say that very loosely. I know for a lot of people like, like C0 is way more than enough for some characters. Yeah, but for other characters, they're like just above enough, right? If you are playing suboptimal characters in suboptimal team comps, you can still likely clear the game, but it's going to be a bit more challenging. And that's essentially what a lot of people are going for, that sense of challenge, this artificially cultivated experience that you have done for yourself because the game doesn't do it for you. That completely makes sense. And I'm going to say it. A lot of free-to-play players will find it very difficult to stick to a few selected teams. They want to have as many teams available to them as possible. A lot of you guys might not admit to this, but you're also trend chasers. If people, content creators, your friends, Discord communities, Reddit are getting hyped for a new character, like Alhaitham, you're likely going to want to feel included. You're not going to want to waste potential gems to get a character's constellations because then you won't be able to get your hands on Alhaitham and you're going to feel secluded from your communities and it feels bad, right? So you constantly want to roll with the most hyped unit. So in this case, it was going to be Nahida, it's going to be Alhaitham, it's going to be Dehya. These are like the top characters when it comes to popularity during these patches. Yes, Scaramouche was popular, but like he's much more of a simp character, if you guys know what I mean. Like he has the fanatic fan base that goes crazy for him, whereas Alhaitham, Dehya, Nahida, these are like predicted characters that have been teased since the start of Sumeru, and the hype wave is coming. You want to feel included, you want to feel like you're part of the community. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people choose to get many different 5 stars, because every time a character is coming out, the hype drives up, you all get excited together. It's kind of like cheering at the World Cups for your country to win. And in Genshin's case, you're cheering for the characters and you're all getting excited and waiting for them to drop. I get that. Another point of getting C0 characters for a lot of people are just to experience new ways to play the game. Like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be a challenge. It could just be opening up new team comps, trying out different wacky playstyles and whatnot. Now, unfortunately, this would also mean that you likely need continuous stimulus from these new characters to feel refreshing. In my personal experience talking to players who have continuously invested into more and more 5-star characters, it's actually one of their biggest regrets. If you look at my video from yesterday, it actually highlights a lot of these players who says, they wish they hadn't spread themselves so thin because they have multiple characters, and these are free to plays, by the way. Yes, there are some small spenders, but there are free to plays who have managed to collect over 10 characters at this point, in which they only use 3 or 4. So there's about 6, 7, in some cases 8 characters, 5 stars that they don't really use. And yes, sometimes they'll likely use them just because they feel bad, but for the most part, they don't use them anymore. And they really wish that maybe they could have taken 4 or 5 of those 5 stars and invested it and set into characters constellations that they play a lot of. So this is definitely a downside, because as time goes on, even as free-to-plays, you'll find that the new toys just don't really last as long as the old ones, because it's just the same game, right? You pull a new character, test out their teams, you look up the guide. You don't even bother figuring this shit out yourself. You look up a guide, you get that stuff all done, or you pre-farmed everything, it's all ready, you slap it in, try out the best teams. If you enjoy the character, maybe you'll play it more. If you don't enjoy the character, you're pretty much done. You're waiting for the next fad, you're waiting for the next thing that comes out to get you that high. And this doesn't last very long. And I've noticed that players who chase new 5 stars don't really last long in the game, because what ends up happening is you realize like, oh, like 3, 4, 5 characters don't satisfy you. You're like, what's the point then? Like, I don't want to skill up my characters because the game's too easy. I can't get really attached to these new characters because most of them just don't really fit what I'm looking for. And yeah, eventually a character will come out that fits exactly what you're looking for, but likely you would have quit the game by then. And it's really a shame, because this way of playing the game is not invalid. It's just that with the way Hoyoverse has been releasing 5-star characters, it becomes more and more difficult to just get a C0 copy with a free-to-play weapon and have them be fine. A lot of the times you'll find that characters not only need a pretty unique 4-star weapon that oftentimes would be requiring you to gacha, or they have a 4-star unit that are accompanying them, and you likely need to pull multiple constellations of such 4 stars to make them feel comfortable, or they rely on another 5-star character that was also limited. It's just, it never is as simple as pull this character, slap on a 4-star weapon that is free to play, accessible, and use traditional 4-star characters to make them amazing. It's very difficult and rare that we run into a character like this. I hope Alhaitham could be that. I hope Dehya could be that, but with how they are tied to the Dendro meta, it just seems unlikely. And for people who are just getting into the game now and skipped Nahida while also lacking some Dendro units, you know, you're not going to have a good time when it comes to the current meta. So that's why I always urge people, you know, sometimes it pays, even for free-to-plays, to first hyper invest into characters that you truly know you enjoy, and then go experience, and then go experiment, because it will never be too late to jump back and you know you are secure. But who am I to tell you how to play this game? Go out, have fun. If you want to skip Raiden, skip Raiden. If you want to skip Zhongli, skip Zhongli. If you want to skip Nahida, skip Nahida. But there has to be characters that you feel attached to, that you truly enjoy playing. I urge you to at least invest into those characters, right? If you enjoy Yelan, maybe pull a couple constellations. I mean, she doesn't need it, but her weapon is pretty good. Maybe you should get her weapon. If you enjoy Tartaglia, maybe get his weapon. Maybe get some constellations. Investing into characters vertically actually does provide a good level of satisfaction, because some constellations can change the way a character plays. That's all I'm saying. Try different perspectives. Don't just limit yourself to one, and don't listen to other people telling you how to play the game. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to other CCs. You have to find ways to play the game for yourself. That's where the fun comes from. Okay, so with all that said, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, urge y'all to stay safe, and peace. Bye.